All right, we are live.
Here we are. I messed up the song, so I'm just gonna sing anyway, cause this is the Chat
No.
Pack Podcast where we talk about this, that, and the other thing.
It's gonna take.
Welcome to everyone. This is the Chat Pack Podcast where we gather around, talk about this, that, and the other thing. I'm one of your hosts of this fantastic podcast full of fun, and you'll notice that we got the quad box going tonight because we got a special guest joining us tonight from Savidge Gaming. We got the man. I can't remember your last name, so I'm just calling you Charlie.
Charlie Savage.
It's
Charlie
Savage, bro.
Oh,
From
well,
Savidge
you know,
Gaming, Paul.
I should have assumed, but at the same time, my little thing's Baltor 33. We're Chat Pack. That doesn't have
Yeah,
anything
Paul
close
Baltor
to-
33. That's your last name. Duh.
No, I would. That'd be kind of cool, though.
If your last name included a number.
Yeah.
Doesn't Kanye West have a kid that's got like no? No, that's Elon Musk.
Elon Musk has the
Equals MC squared.
The
the
like
fighter
John
pilot.
12,
Musk.
whatever.
the fighting jet thing.
That's so ridiculous, dude.
It's gonna
Someone
suck
asked
for
him
that kid
about
to
his
learn
kid,
how to
and he was
write
like,
its
"What are you
own
talking
name."
about?"
I saw that.
Anyway, we here are gathered around to talk about a little bit about what our friend here does and just kind of where else the conversation is going to go. But let's introduce our panel of. Oh man, I thought I was going to have something that started with a P, but
Paul, you're off.
Fantastic
You're off today.
podcast philanthropers. As
Philanthropers.
fantastic is spelled with a PH there. The man that makes the show happen, the man behind the virtual glass, Trevor Heim, joins us. Hello, Trevor. Glad to hear that you're not sounding like a robot like you did in the pre-show.
Yeah, not sounding like a robot. Still fighting off a little bit of like a sinus cold though, with the way the weather's been out here in Salt Lake. But I'm also trying to figure out. I don't know how I'm gonna clean up everything Paul's been doing here in the first few minutes of the episode in post, but we'll figure it out.
What's wrong with what have I done wrong? Give me 3 examples of what I've done wrong to start this show.
You started talking, you kept talking, and you didn't stop talking.
The man that is
1,
being
2,
very
3.
rude to me is Caleb Cole. He's also joining us. Caleb, how are you? And your big deal, Caleb's big story of the day from middle of nowhere, Michigan. I bought light beer today. That was the breaking
Cheap-
news. For
cheap light
Caleb
beer.
today.
When I first came in, I almost stopped myself. I was like, I want to save this on the podcast, but then I realized nobody gives a fuck about light beer prices. But I'm still gonna say that out here in Marcellus Township, 8 16-ounce cans, $6.50. I mean, I guess there's a reason that people get addicted to alcohol because it's basically free. I mean, they're like basically paying me to take these beers out here. It's absurd.
Gotta hydrate
That's-
somehow.
I don't think exactly how things.
Those work.
I don't think you're getting things.
Well, I did go into the Family Dollar and I took them without paying, and I made them give me the cash in the register.
So you
So,
robbed
yeah, I mean, they're
You're
paying
confessing
me.
to that
they're
live
basically
on the
giving
internet
me-
right now.
No, I think that we just have a kind of a different understanding of what robbing means, Paul. It's just kind of
See,
it's
Caleb
you've been
lives
in
in a
Seattle
small,
a long
tight-knit
time.
community.
He leaves a little IOU, you know, and he needs
Mm-hmm.
needs a little more time to pay the
Personal loan.
$6.95 for the 8 beers that
Whoa,
he's.
$6.50. I'm not a fucking rich man. You kidding me? Jeez, Louise.
And rounding out the podcast today, Charlie Savage joins us. Savidge Gaming, currently counting down the top 100 video games of all time. Dead Rising's not currently on the list, so I'm just assuming you're waiting for the top 5.
I haven't played
so.
Dead Rising.
Oh,
That's one of many things.
oh,
Okay.
That is a
And
game.
now
that
I'm
you-
just gonna tell you right now. Unfortunately, your list is now null and void, and you have to start the entire project over after you beat Dead Rising at least 2 or 3 times, so you get the full experience. So you actually do everything. So
That's fair.
Yeah, well, he can just kind of put Dead Rising in at 0. How about that? Is that okay?
put you in at 0.
Oh,
How about I play 100 games and I just put everything at like a decimal point?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Or just put an asterisk next to every single one of them, and then in the YouTube description, subject to change due to my opinion on Dead Rising. And then that way, everyone knows when you come and play the greatest video game of all time, some might say a perfect video game, then you'll be all right. You'll be good to go.
This is true.
So
very
let's
true.
start. Why, and I love me a good list. Don't get me wrong. I am top 100 lists, especially because it's like, wow, now we're going big time, the big picture. What makes what makes you decide to actually go through and put together your list of the top 100 video games of all time?
Well, the first time I did it, I pretty much just did it out of sheer boredom during like a class during college. Just I'd finished something, I had Excel open, and I was like, I'm gonna make a list, and that was pretty much how it started.
Wait, so is this the first time that you've done it, or this is the first? Like, so this
I
is
had like a running
reiteration?
list for like I just like add games in for like maybe a year until then. So I'd like
I
beat a
like
game. I'm like,
that.
I'll throw it around here, and then basically I'll probably update this list eventually, like 5 years
Yeah.
or so. However,
It's
I
a
don't know.
rolling. Well, because
Yeah.
that's like
You
one of
kinda
the
have
biggest.
to.
That's
Yeah.
one of the biggest things for me approaching something that big is that, I mean, a top 10 is a little bit more manageable. Once you hit that top 100, like there's got to be quite a few of those games in your list. I bet you haven't played them in a little while, but doing it across a year or maybe even multiple years makes a lot more sense because you have a little bit more relevance there.
Yeah, and then it's like, it's also just the fact that knowing that it's like it's my list, so it's not like I am not like trying to objectively take the fact that like, oh, these are the top 100 games ever. It's just like these are the games I like the most and I probably play the most.
Okay, so maybe not. I think Paul said greatest games of all time, but it's more of your favorite games.
Yeah. Otherwise, everyone will be very disappointed in my top 10 for the most part.
I'm
Well,
excited to hear it.
I mean, all those lists are that at the end of the day, right? I mean, and I think people
Yeah.
need to remember that when they look at things is very rarely are you going to fully identify with just one other person. I mean, let's just look at this podcast, for example. Trevor and Caleb and I, all good buddies, and Charlie and I, we're already, we're all clicking on all cylinders and stuff. It's all great. Woo, that was a weird one.
What
That was
the
like
heck was that?
Paul, I think you're off today. I think that you. I think energy was sapped from you in that massive Mario baseball stream.
Yeah,
you did the other
I
day.
streamed. I'm currently working on a Mario baseball video that has eclipsed an hour-long runtime right now. I'm making a literal
That's
film.
a movie. That's not a video.
I'm
That's
making a
movie.
literal Mario baseball film at the moment.
Paul,
so
did you
it's
eat one of
definitely
Dot's special treats?
No, I didn't.
Paul's
I
dog
had to
has
take
been
the Dot.
getting drugged
I had to
go
take
the
Dot to the vet today. It's
Jeez,
been
Stony
it's been a
baloney,
whole
man.
roller coaster. But what I mean is, it's just you're not gonna always line up one for one. Caleb's one of my best friends in the whole world. Same with Trevor. But our likes in video games are vastly different, especially Trevor. Trevor literally sometimes is the equivalent of watching paint dry as a human being. But I
think Trevor
appreciate
would play a game that assembles pallet racking for a warehouse.
Yeah, like he would definitely be like, "Oh, I got Power Washing Simulator on a deal on Steam, and I spent a good solid weekend playing it." Because, and then
I was
the best would
cleaning
be
the
the
whole
follow-up
house.
would be, so then I went out and I got a power washer, and I the next weekend I just power washed my house while I went and built another rock climbing wall in my backyard. Because I saw a cool design in the game.
So
Trevor sends. So I'll send highlights from Mario Baseball from what I'm doing, and Trevor's sending, "Hey, look, I flew over my house in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Look at how cool these graphics are." So, but like we all loved playing Fortnite when it first came out. Trevor still plays a ton of Fortnite, but me, it's like I have games that I am passionate and like love that no one cares about. Like we kicked off the show. I mean, Dead Rising is a more popular game than I give it credit for, but a lot of people haven't played it. And I'm over here preaching like everyone needs to play it. Like, but then a lot of people will play it and be like, "What are you talking about?" Same with my undying love for like the N64. I have a love for all these N64 games, and then you go back and play them, and you're just like, "Whoosh!" GoldenEye in today's day and age. You're just kind of like, this game was a lot more fun when we had no idea how cool video games could be.
Or how the games could control.
Yeah, I mean it's still fun. Like, and honestly, I was saying like if you play N64 games emulated on PC and you can like use a mouse and keyboard to control, N64 games get a lot more fun, and
Oh,
especially in
dude.
like the shooter range. But
Yeah.
Mario 64 is always good because Mario is just perfect.
The first time I ever emulated an older game, it was Final Fantasy 9 when I was in high school. I got a laptop and started emulating that, and playing it on the keyboard was so awesome, but I really did miss. I think I originally played that on a PlayStation 1. But going back and playing through like a Final Fantasy game, because the first time I played it, I think I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10, and I just had no idea what the fuck was going on in that game. I don't know what this elixir is, like, all the random little items. I just those games are so, like, surprisingly deep.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it's been the most gratifying thing for games that I remember as being really, really hard as a kid that I've gone back and played as an adult and been like, no, this game's actually really hard. Why was I playing this as a kid?
Yeah.
Charlie, I saw that, I think it was the one you released today. You hit number 47 out of your top 100, right? Counting down?
Yeah.
I love the choice of Donkey Kong Country.
It's
That
so
was
good.
that was like I had an SNES growing up, and my parents still have it, and I think there's still a file that says Caleb 5, and I named it that because I had just turned 5, and I was playing Link to the
That's great.
Past, and one of the games that we played was Donkey Kong Country. And my sister still, she has like an emulator, and she will go through or like it's just like on the Wii,
Yeah.
but she has the GameCube controller, and it's so funny watching her play. She'll play like Claw Grip too, and like play Donkey Kong Country. And I swear that soundtrack, the whole series, Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3, the soundtrack is, I'd say, top 5 video games of all time. It's fucking incredible.
They're all so good.
Yeah, all those old Nintendo games, like some like the underwater level soundtrack in Donkey
Aquatic
Kong
ambience.
Country. Yeah, yes, it's so good.
We
Holy
watched
shit.
a really, really interesting. I need to link it, but we watched a really interesting video of how they made music for the Super Nintendo and the N64. Because I literally this whole time as I've been listening. I listened to the N64 soundtracks a lot. I've found a ton of them this year. Was also walking around listening to Super Nintendo soundtracks the other day. Specifically, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. If you're curious about that one, another one that has a slapping soundtrack, but
Really good soundtrack.
it's
from
so
what you said.
impressive how limited they were in terms of the tools to create the music, and then they create these just absolutely incredible songs. And Donkey Kong Country is at the top of the list of just how influential, especially Nintendo music, can be.
Yeah. There's I think Red Bull made a documentary of like video game music. It's really cool. It's just called Digging in the Carts. Definitely check that out if you're interested in that
I'm
stuff.
gonna do that 100% because I'm so fascinated. That's a part of video games we don't talk about enough. It's not celebrated enough. I want to go see one of these live concerts when they do video game music because you just listen to so much of it, and especially growing up, so much of it didn't resonate with you because you're just like, I'm a kid, I want to play video games, like I'm doing this. But then it's like now when I'm playing games, I'm just sitting here, I'm playing Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, and I'm just like, we've been listening to the same song for 18 holes, but I love this song the whole
Right.
time. It just absolutely, I'm just sitting there jamming. Mario Party 3, I'm sitting here, I'm jamming, I'm rocking, and it's just like it takes because there are video game songs that can be annoying, but now it's just like I want to go back and just listen to those songs on loop because they're so good, so good.
Yeah. God, there's so many good ones.
So Charlie, you got this top 100 list. How do you approach, like, you've got games, like I was just looking at some, like you've got Wii Sports, Yakuza, Octopath Traveler, SSX Tricky, which is an amazing game with an
Dude.
amazing soundtrack. It's tricky to rock it on it, rock
Yeah, that's like one of the things. I had to like cut out part of
game.
my script because I kept talking about the soundtrack of that game too long.
It's so good. Isn't that Run DMC who's actually doing that song?
Yeah, it's like a remix of that, and then there's so many like weird different genres of music mixed together with just like DJs that they use for
Yeah.
like when you're going down like
Dude, the
Garibaldi
characters
and
in that,
Eddie's
Eddie,
Mouse.
with the huge afro.
Yeah.
Oh, Eddie's the fucking shit. But like, so what I was gonna say is like how, and then you've got, I mean, you've got stuff like Assassin's Creed 3, which is like, you know, the typical blockbusters, and I think is BioShock in there?
BioShock is the game I've got to play next, so it's not on the list. I
Not
had to
on the
like
list, but you're
cut
gonna
things
play
off at some point.
it.
One of my
I
favorite
did
games
end.
of all time.
There was some game I think I had like 2 games from one series, and I ended up just kicking them out and throwing in like one other game because I played it and I was like, okay, this has to be on the list. I haven't made the thumbnail yet.
Hmm. So how do you have any type of system, or is it just kind of whatever pops up? Like, how do you compare Wii Sports with SSX Tricky with, you know, AC3?
Yeah. So like it's pretty much impossible to do for the most part in terms of like really trying to compare them and contrast them. But I guess to me it's like there's like a few questions I guess I ask myself. It was like if there were only so many games that existed and it was like if I could only choose for like if I had like one day left, right? If I could spend it playing what games would I play? I feel like that's usually what it comes down to for me. You know, disregarding the fact that some games definitely take more than a day, but
Yeah, of course. Like anybody can just pick up Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort and instantly play it and get that game. But like,
exactly.
you know, I'm sitting at like 80 some hours into Elden Ring and I still have no idea what the fucking storyline is.
Well, and
Like,
it's important too. Some games are good, and then the end part of the game is great. It accelerates
Right.
everything. Like I don't want to jump too ahead, but like BioShock just jumps a level. Like when it just gets to a point where I think the game just goes from good to great in terms of not only just gameplay and everything, it's in terms of story, engagement, environment. They just ratchet everything up and it gets better and better. There's so many games where you're sitting there just like, okay, 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 and then it's like, fuck. I don't know on your list. Maybe we'll get there, but God of War on PS4
Yes.
so good.
is
That
a
game is
prime
so
example for
good.
me. Is sitting there, I'm playing the beginning of the game and I'm loving it. Like I'm sitting there and I played it long after the hype wave. The hype wave had come and
That's the
gone.
same experience I had.
Yeah. So I never spoiled myself on the game because I had bought the game and I said, I want to play this. Everyone is saying that this is one of the greatest games of all time. And I'm sitting there and I start playing it and I'm like, okay, I mean, I like the change. I'm into it. I'm
Boy.
cool. The beginning stuff, it's like, yeah, the fighting's pretty fun. And then like we're gonna spoil some games here. Let's just be honest. So I'm gonna put a little spoiler up
It's
real
like
quick.
that's a 2017.
Unless Trevor, are you gonna play
2018.
God of War? Do you have
18?
interest in
Yeah,
God of War?
2018.
No, you can go ahead.
What about Copper?
Atreus.
Does Copper have any interest in God of War?
Yeah,
Copper has
we don't
no
want
respect
we don't
for
want Copper
closed
the
doors.
dog. Whoa,
But
jeez, Louise.
but I mean,
Copper,
God of
calm
War
down,
starts
bud.
ramping up. It starts getting better, and then it's just like, oh shit. Your son's in trouble. Kratos is finally stepping up as a god, and then the cutscene's going, and you're like, "Nah, he's not going back to get what you think he's about to go get. He's not
Yeah.
about to go because they didn't want to bring him back because they wanted him to have the axe, and then they say, "Nah, you definitely get the chain still from the other God of War," and then you're just like, "Let's fucking go!"
That
And you have to
game-
go into that world where you specifically have to use the blades to fight enemies because there's the specific world and the
Like the
realm.
axe doesn't do shit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it completely adds in an entire new system of combat and stuff. So it was like, oh shit, I had this whole plan of how I'm gonna spend my upgrade points. Nah, no chance. Now I'm trying to get my blades going because I want to use the blades of chaos. I think that's what they are. I can't remember
Yep.
if that's
Yeah.
what they're. Yeah, and it's just like hell, and that's like, you know. Another thing that like it's a little controversial, I think, but upon reflection, actually, I don't know if I want to spoil this one for Caleb because I think him
What
playing The
game
Last
is
of
it?
Us and The Last of Us 2. I
I
think
haven't played The Last of Us 2.
okay, I won't then. I won't then. The big twist that that is big discuss. I'm a pro of because that's where it just completely takes this game
Oh,
and
I remember that there was a
turns
bunch of
it on its head.
controversy over it. The
And
twist.
like
A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people liked it. Right? In The
yeah,
Last
I
of
mean
Us
it's
2.
a classic. I feel like a classic thing, but like the main reason was of a direction of some characters, and I loved that game, and I love the choices, and I love the midpoint twist, and that's all I really want to say because I don't want to dive into literally
Yeah, be
anything more than
vague.
Yeah.
that vague stuff. But I just think God of War is that prime example of a game that it's just like, holy shit, this game just went, and like once I got the blades, I didn't want to stop playing. Like I just wanted to play God of War through the end because the story was ratcheting up, and then they hit you with that huge punch at the end of God of War 2 of like the story stuff, and you're just like, ah.
So wait,
I
is
don't
God of War on your list? You played that?
It will be
It's
on the
it
list when the episode comes
Oh,
out.
I was
okay,
gonna
yeah,
say,
yeah, 'cause you're
I'm
on,
like, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I have to assume God of War is probably a little higher than 47.
yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of 100 games. I don't even know what's in my top 10 besides I know Oblivion and Sekiro are in there.
Well,
We're
I think
so
I
are
start
you
asking
doing only
myself the question of maybe games that I didn't love, but I think of the importance of them. I saw on your list, Charlie, some Call of Duties. I don't have the same passion as Call of Duties, but I can't sit here and say that Modern Warfare 2 is not one of the best games of all time, simply for
Right.
how important it is in the world of
Well, are we
online
also
first-person shooters.
I
Yeah,
think we
I
should
kind of had.
establish too with your list. Sorry, Charlie.
No, go
Is
ahead.
this multiplayer as well, or is it all
Yeah,
weighted
it
off
can
of
be
single
included.
player?
I don't play too many multiplayer games, so if you see like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is on there, it's like
Mhm.
90 something or like 80 something. But like that's on there just because it was like that game in general was like an experience for me in high school. That was like the one game where it was like that is like I came home from school, played games with my friends, had like a whole squad together. That was just
Yeah.
kind of that
Ah,
experience. I think
that
we've all
was
been there before.
yeah. That was me with Modern Warfare 2 playing Team Tactical. 3 of my friends. So much
Yeah.
Halo
fun.
3, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Halo 3 was the coolest thing in the world for a while. It was
It
when
really was, wasn't it?
like, I mean, it was, if you weren't playing Halo 3 after whatever you were doing, you were missing out. Same with, I would say, one of the first games, and this might be kind of obscure, and maybe I'm curious if it might sneak onto your list at some point, because I know Caleb, you'll appreciate it, was RuneScape. RuneScape, was one of the first games I remember a lot of people at
Whoa.
school talking about at school, planning stuff during the day
I
to
see
have
Charlie shaking
something
his head.
at the end of the
No.
day, and then going into and playing RuneScape.
Does that
That
mean
was
you're not
one
a
of the
RuneScape
games
fan?
where I feel like everyone's played it, but I was just like, it became such like a thing where it was like, by the time, like even like when I was in college, it was like people were still talking about RuneScape constantly, and it was like people are also just doing like RuneScape in like countries with like poor economies to like make a living because they can sell it for real money, like crazy stuff
Yeah.
like
Well,
that.
because you could just bot for gold in RuneScape, and there were certain ways, like if you had because they opened up the old servers, the
Yeah,
2007 servers. That's what you're talking about, right?
yeah,
Mostly. Yeah, because you could apparently the way that they detect bots. I watched this whole like 15-minute YouTube documentary about it. They do it by like mouse clicks basically
okay,
and
yeah,
locations of the mouse click, but if you do it on a tablet or a phone, they don't detect the click the same way. So you can run bots through your tablet or phone, something that's touchscreen, and you basically it's like I guess it's basically impossible for them to catch you. Like other than just like
that's
somebody
wild.
running 24 hours a day doing this thing without stopping, then they're like, okay, we got you.
Yeah, you're just on hour 48 in this cave.
Man, I didn't even think like so if I were to make a list like this, I guess RuneScape would have to be on there, but I would never have thought to put RuneScape on a list like this because I don't typically
Right.
include games like that don't have the capacity to play it single player. Like I wouldn't even include Smash Bros Melee on mine
Oh,
because like
that's unfair. I think that's
it's
not.
almost
I
like a
think you're
different
selling
thing
some.
for me. I
I
don't
think
even like
you're.
when I go to sit down and play a video game, like I almost think about that differently. Is like when I sit down to play Melee, it's almost like I'm working out
Well,
at
Yeah.
this
that's
point.
for
It's the
you.
same
You are. You
That's
mentality.
have to. You also have to admit to everyone that you are the rare exception. For me, I have a long history of playing single player Smash Brothers from N64
Well,
through
I'm
the
not saying
Switch
people
version.
can't put it on their
But
list.
but
I'm saying
I'm
for
saying that
my list.
I have a fond memory of my time playing it by myself, like in the single player capacity. I loved unlocking all the characters. I loved unlocking the stages. I loved
Oh
doing the
yeah.
melee event
I
mode.
remember
Yeah.
I remember that as a kid too. Like I remember doing the it's like the 100-man melee to get Falco,
Yeah,
and when he pops
yeah,
up,
yeah. And then
So
it's like, yeah,
good.
they pop in on the screen, and
and then you got to
dude. I
beat him,
mean,
and you're all
one of my
nervous.
one of my fondest video game memories. Like me and Will Rubenstein and Zach, and my buddy Zach.
Oh yeah,
we went
Zach.
up. We went up to Game Crazy, in Colorado. Midnight release of
Game
Smash Bros.
Crazy?
Brawl
Is that
because
like a game place? I've
it
never heard
was
of that.
I don't know. Did you guys have Hollywood Video?
I
Yeah.
remember
No.
Hollywood Video.
Yeah, so Hollywood Video
Oh,
was
what?
basically Blockbuster. It was just
I think so.
another Blockbuster type chain. But a lot of Hollywood Videos had a video game store in them called Game Crazy, where you could actually buy and trade it. It was a little mini GameStop in there, and they even had like
Huh.
N64 games, and it was right down the street from our middle school and like in my neighborhood, basically, not easily walking distance. So we would go there after school and go hang out. But I asked my parents in advance, and we got to go to the midnight launch of Super Smash Brothers Brawl. And then, man, coming back, starting the Subspace Emissary and starting to unlock all the characters. Brawl is honestly a game that I would put I would put all of the Smashes probably throughout the list. Maybe not the 3DS one because of how important I think all of them are and how good I think all of them are. But even Brawl on that thing. But I like for Brawl that is definitely a game that I think first single player Smash because I played the shit
Yeah.
out of that single player. I played
I
so
love
much
tripping
against.
accidentally.
Yeah,
Brawl was the-
yeah.
I think Brawl was the game I ended
again
up
because
picking
I don't
out.
care. I don't care as much about that because I want to be Olimar throwing Pikmin at Ganondorf, and then a giant beast thing comes and blows
Yeah.
up a stage. Like that shit's fun to me, and like I think Brawl really.
Nintendogs.
Yeah, and then Brawl
Yes.
also was like, you know what? We're just gonna make everything still goofy and crazy, but it's also gonna be like gritty and kind of cool looking, and like you're just like, fuck, everyone looks just kind of cool. Like everyone's got their realistic like clothes
Yeah, the
on.
denim on
Gritty.
Mario's pants or his
Yeah,
little
like
belts.
Wario's actually looking like he's got denim. His denim's all flaring out and like all that stuff, and it was just like all the trailers they did for Brawl 2. You're like, fuck, those are cool.
Yeah.
Dude,
And
we need a
The
gritty
dojo
fucking.
updating like every week
Oh,
or so.
dude, I'm. Were you like me, Charlie? Every morning, it was you checked the update before school, and I would text my cousin. We would talk
Yep,
about it.
I would check it like right when I woke up and like right when I got home from school.
And then there was like, do I want to know who the hidden character is? And like, yeah, I want to know who the hidden character is,
And then it's
100%.
Wolf, and you're like,
Yeah, and then they announced, and then they're like, so they start Brawl off, and they're like, oh, Snake's in it, and you're like, sick. And then in the middle of the dojo shit, in like a middle of the week, they just are like, oh, here's this trailer, and then you're like, oh shit. And it's Sonic the fucking Hedgehog. I mean, like that was crazy. Like you have to remember Brawl, like Snake and Sonic being in Brawl is the reason Smash Ultimate is able, and like all these crossover things exist is because that was the first. And I know there was plenty of other crossover games, but I'm just saying like for Smash to get to that stage, it was because they opened up their minds and said it would be really fucking cool if Mario, Sonic, and Link all fought each other and Pokemon run around. Yeah, so that was, I think Brawl just really leaned into that area of Smash that I love more than I think Caleb might, where it's just like I love the party, big roster, ridiculousness of Smash.
great
versus
game, bad tripping.
The gameplay,
Yeah,
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
The actual mechanics of the game are fucking booty in comparison to something like Melee or 64. But I will say that introduced to me like my absolute favorite Smash character of all time, Wolf. I love Wolf. The aesthetics of the character, the shine, the way that they pop up to the side and you can shine them and then side B them. Like that
So
little
good.
combo just feels so good. Like it's just what a dopamine rush playing that character is.
So
Also, what's great is like you
Oh.
can play Project M or Project Plus, which makes you Brawl way more fun, anyways.
Yeah, Project M was a fucking blast. It's a bummer that from what I understand the dev team still is stopped, right? They've like
Yeah.
permanently kind of stopped because
Now
they
there's
went
P
and
Plus and yeah.
yeah, and some of them went and created Rivals of Aether, right? A few of the people from Project M team
Yeah, I
were
believe so.
involved on that.
Trevor, you had a
Cool
question.
stuff.
Yeah, sorry, that's cool about Rivals of Aether. I've had that on like my Steam wish list for like ever since I remember they announced it. But no, my question for Charlie, I was gonna say, so I didn't realize Caleb shared kind of your list here with the YouTube link, which we'll probably throw that up once we get this VOD on there as well. But you said you're on number 47 of your list, counting down. So when did you start with, I guess, number 100, and how long has this been going on for?
That was in like May or June. I was posting like 2 a week pretty frequently, like every Tuesday and Thursday. And then there was just like this giant gap where I like changed job. I was working like 6 days a week. So I was just like tired and I was like, no YouTube. But then like, New Year's hit, New Year's resolution sort of thing. I put like a couple out in between. I was like, okay, I really need to finish this. And then that's when I like the past 2-3 weeks I've been posting them like daily.
Hell
Nice.
yeah. It's a fucking journey, and not to mention that there's just so many games out there. Like
Yeah.
how you compile that.
Yeah, I was
don't know.
scrolling through the list. I guess I've got a couple questions. Well, I guess first I was gonna say I love that Battle for Bikini Bottom made the list. I saw it was like 99. I loved that game when I was a kid.
It's so good.
I was gonna ask though. So Paul mentioned like all of the Smash Brothers would be on his list. Like, is that something as you've been compiling all these? Like, have you been trying to maybe pick one like from certain like long games like that, like your Call of Duties, things like that, like maybe just pick one for the full 100, or do you have multiples of some of those?
Like I feel like I could have easily picked maybe like 2 or 3 Guitar Hero games.
Oh
I was
yeah.
like, I can't just keep like picking Guitar Hero games for how much I love them. I'm like, I'm just gonna do Guitar Hero 3 and like call it a day. I tried to cut down on like
Guitar Hero.
yeah,
So
like Call of
good.
Duty. So it was just like I went with like the one that was like the one where I was like I played with my friends, and then I went with like the one where like the first time I ever played COD by myself, which was World at War.
Oh, okay. Well, it was good. I thought you were gonna say
Seven Deadly
Call of Duty
Vin.
4.
Oh yeah. Seven Deadly
I went
Vin
back
in the
and played
chat
it,
says Caleb confirmed furry for his love of wolves.
Wolf.
So there you go.
It's
I
his
don't know,
Halloween
man. I might
costume, 3
both.
years running.
What does go through? Actually, I'm gonna rewind because you brought up Guitar Hero, so I want to go there. Tell me, a game like Guitar Hero was very unique and it was very groundbreaking. Tell me, I want to know like your games that you think just had massive impacts in the world of video games. Like a couple examples of games, like it doesn't matter where they ranked on your list. I'm just curious more so like games that you think, because you mentioned a love of Guitar Hero, and that's one of many. We definitely Guitar Hero 3. I'm way more nostalgic for it. One by Metallica, easily the most fun Guitar Hero song of all time, and I'm proud to say I only play on medium. I never went. I tried
I
hard.
can't go higher. I tried.
I tried hard. It's way more fun to play all the songs and actually hit the notes than it is for me to put my pinky down there and hurt my hand and do all that other stuff. So I just finished the songs, but
I got distracted. You only play medium?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Same.
You know
can't-
what?
You know what
Actually,
I can do?
that's
I
a
can
great
100%
idea.
my
Songs
name
are
is
hard, but
Jonas,
it's like-
and I did it. I can do it basically after a couple warm-ups because I did it when I was back in Colorado.
100% what?
My name is Jonas by Weezer.
On medium?
Yep.
I
Yeah, I bet I could do that right now. What do you mean?
Do it. Prove it.
What do you what?
Prove
I
it.
think the
Is that how
best
you
I
got
ever
able to
did
start
was
dating you?
what's the Slayer song that's in Guitar Hero 3? I did 100% of that on medium. I like grinded that for like 5 hours one day.
It's
Which
not
was rough.
It's not Rain and Blood, is
But
it?
Yeah, it's
I think
Raining
it
Blood.
is.
Oh, it is. It's a great
Yeah,
song.
I just grinded that for hours on end until I got 100% on it. Because I kept missing like one note in like the middle of the song. I'm just like, why this one note?
And then you got to start all the way over because it's done. The song's just over there. So yeah, I'm just curious. Some of your big innovative, your big groundbreaker games.
So like I think the games that kind of come to mind. I mean, there's some things from like a technical standpoint. So like Guitar Hero 3, I think obviously had probably like the biggest cultural impact. It made classic rock very popular for everyone my age at the time, which was kind of weird when it was just like, I mean, obviously like people's parents get them into that music and stuff, but it was like in general, it made a lot of rock music more prominent. And when I was like, was I like in elementary school when that came out, or like middle school? But
Yeah.
it was like
You're
it
4
made
years younger
Foghat
than
relevant
most.
in like 2008 or something. Like,
Yeah,
everyone knows Slow Ride. And
Yeah, I was just gonna say like so much of the stuff by like the Police and like who wrote Barracuda?
Heart.
Ooh,
Right?
Barracuda.
Like I remember some of that stuff coming back in like War Pigs and like I don't know if
Yeah.
I would have known those songs as early as I did without Guitar Hero.
Yeah. Thanks to my dad, I have like an absurd wealth of classic rock knowledge, but that also was like I probably wouldn't have heard Beastie Boys for several years otherwise. Or like
Man, Beastie Boys.
Raids Against the Machine. So
I feel like it's funny you mentioned that because I feel like my parents were excited to get me Guitar Hero 2 for PS2 because they could listen to all the music that they liked.
yeah.
I was taking over
then-
the living room TV.
yeah.
I
think
bet your
another
dad.
game- Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Trev or Charlie.
I think one of
Another
the other
game, what?
games for like cultural impact in terms of like when I was a kid was like the Tony Hawk games. So especially like
Oh,
the underground
Fips?
games.
Gotta
Like-
love them.
Like I think all of those are super relevant, but just like in terms of like, and then Tony Hawk 2 Underground 2 was basically just like a Jackass game.
Yeah. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is like one that will forever live in my heart.
Oh yeah, that's like
One
I
of
think
the-
that's like still like one of the 5 highest rated games on Metacritic. It's like that. It's Ocarina of Time.
uh,
I think
rightfully
Breath of the
so.
Wild.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild's probably up there.
I know.
Probably
I think
Elden
Soul
Ring now.
Calibur 2 is really high.
Soul
I never
Calibur.
played anything Soul Calibur.
Soul
at all.
Calibur's
fun.
fun, man. Mostly just because
Is that a fighting game?
Way
It's
over
just
the
a fighting
top.
game, right?
Yeah, it's so fun. It's like
It's like
They
the
were
same game-
they were a series that loved them a crossover. They had them platform exclusive
yeah,
characters.
just
that
throw
they-
a
Link in there, and people are like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm in.
Charlie, looking at your list, is there any games that you have announced or that you plan to announce that you think are like the more underground ones that you think need more recognition that people like us who might not know about them should try them out?
Trying to think. I haven't gotten to this one, but it's further up on the list. Even though it's a AAA title, it was super slept on when it came out, and it was Spec Ops the Line. If anyone's played that game at all,
Interesting.
I have not
No,
played that.
no, I
I
haven't.
haven't played it. I'm familiar with the game. I don't know. I haven't played it, but I follow enough that I'm familiar.
so it's on PS3 and Xbox 360 and PC. It's a third-person shooter published by 2K, developed by Jaeger. Basically, it's a game with multiple choices and endings. But
Okay.
basically, the entire themes of the game are based around like PTSD and like going into the war in the Middle East and things like
Wow.
that. So it's like, yeah, it's a very interesting game, and you don't really realize that like those are the themes of like what's happening until you reach the end of the game.
Yeah, that's cool. And
Yeah.
that's a two. I'm looking at the title of it, 2012 game to have multiple endings. Like that was right when people were starting to really try to start
Yeah.
doing different stuff like that.
The game didn't sell super well, and it has like a multiplayer mode that doesn't really matter, but like story wise, that is like definitely one of like my favorite narratives in games. Let me see what other.
Third person shooter.
Yeah, let me see what other. In terms of indie titles that I included, I had Thomas Was Alone, which is also a super heavy narrative driven game. It's a puzzle platformer. It literally just tells like the story. They successfully make characters out of literal just like blocks. Like, oh yeah, the main character, he's a red quadrangle, like he's just a rectangle jumping around, and all these
And
different.
his name is Thomas.
Yeah, and Thomas was alone, but all the different characters have like different personalities, and it's just like narrated by a really good voice actor.
Hell yeah.
And it basically goes through like it's kind of like a coming of age story, but literally with blocks, and they all like overcome their own like insecurities and stuff. Which is a super really weird but fun indie game.
I enjoy
And then
types
let's-
of media like that will have something that's intensely complicated, like a really awesome narrative and story, and then another aspect of it that's intensely simple, like
Yeah.
having the main character just be a red quadrangle.
Right?
I got the Xbox Game Pass because it's on. Well, they added it to PC. They had this like good deal going or whatever,
Yeah.
and I've been a big fan of it ever since. I normally
awesome.
was.
Best.
What's that?
It's such a good deal.
It's great.
amazing.
With having an Xbox too, it's easy. so
it makes
awesome how
buying
many
an
games I
Xbox
have
the
access
better
to.
option than a PS5, in my opinion, if you're going to play a lot of games.
I was
Yeah,
historically
just for
really
that.
against like kind of the subscription model, aspect of it. But anyways, what I was gonna say was because I've got the Game Pass, I have access to all these games, and I've been finding myself playing a lot of more indie games. Kind of like what you're saying, like Thomas is Alone. I recently played Outer Wilds, I think it was called, which was a mind-blowing
Yeah.
game.
Love
That
game.
one's so cool. It's like
Dude.
music based and shit.
Outer Wilds was
That
crazy.
game is beautiful.
I've actually played a bunch of games by that studio. Is it Annapurna Interactive? Right now I'm playing
think
Kentucky
so.
Route Zero, which has been super
Oh
interesting.
yeah.
I don't know if any of those made your list, but you said indie games, and I was like, oh, I've been playing all the indie games lately on
Yeah,
Game Pass.
I need to get more into, I guess, indie games. Like I've played so many of them, but it's like so many. I just like I played for like sometimes just like an evening or an afternoon, and it's like a lot of them didn't make the list. I think there's like I probably could have thrown like What Remains of Edith Finch on there. I could have thrown
That's on my list to play.
Gone Home. I probably could have thrown those on there.
Do you
those are
have
all very
Hollow
fun.
Knight on there?
No, I do not.
No. Have you ever played Hollow Knight?
No, it's downloaded. I'm going to play it soon.
My girlfriend, one of my girlfriend's favorite games, but yeah, it's interesting, Trevor. I think it's because as much as you want to play the next big, great game, it's just when you get to a certain point in life, you just don't have time to go drop a 40, 50. I don't have time to spend 5 hours to get into a game. I need to play. Sometimes I just need to play a game for 5 hours and be done. I did that, and
Yeah.
it was less than 5 hours. Like on Game Pass, there was a game it was called Donut County, and I was like, oh, and it's not a hard game. You just control a hole in the ground, and you just drop a bunch of things into the hole. It's not really that difficult. But honestly, it was so refreshing. I beat it in 2 days, and I loved the art. I loved the little thing. And we lost Caleb.
We lost Caleb.
Are you alive?
Oh, he's back.
Anyway, but
Hopefully.
that's the beauty of Game Pass.
Yeah. Like,
Oh, sorry.
oh no, I was just, I guess, waiting on.
There he
Caleb to
is.
return.
He's back.
Why'd you hang up, Caleb? You dummy. We're still recording.
Yeah. I just got bored with you people, except for Charlie.
So, one of my questions here, we got to wind down here in just a little bit, because I have to drive to the airport in a little bit.
Oh, fun.
Super fun. You mentioned you're not trying to take some from a lot of series, so I'm hoping that there's going to be a reason. You picked the wrong Mario Party. I'm just going to go and say it. You picked the wrong Mario Party. Mario
I
Party
knew this
8
was gonna come up.
out of all the
I
Mario
knew.
parties, if there's not more Mario parties coming up and you're out here picking Mario Party 8 on the Wii, you're not even going to go Superstars to bring the other ones? You're not, come on. What are we doing? You're skipping
Mario
over
Party
2,
3,
3, and 4? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
golden age of Mario Party.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul,
You've
only seen half his list so far, so there's more.
Mario
to come.
Party
That's what I'm
Four,
hoping. That's
clarify,
why
I didn't grow up with a
but I
GameCube
thought
or
I
an
heard that he was
N64.
trying to avoid the repeats. So I just wanted to. I had to air my claims. I had to air my beef.
It's fair. I do need to play more of the Mario parties, but I also literally I'm like at this weird point in life where it's like everyone I know is just like, they've either moved far away or they're having children, so they are in no condition to play Mario Party, let alone drink and play Mario Party.
Yeah.
Like I have like 3 or 4 of them, but it's like I don't want to just sit there like and just do a Twitch stream. It's like I'm gonna drink by myself and play Mario Party.
Yeah, that's a sad Twitch stream. That's a Twitch stream you tune in and you're like, oh man, this guy is playing all computers. He's not even in like a Discord call, like playing some people. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
playing normal computers by himself. Drinking,
Motion
just taking
control
shots.
notes.
They're normal computer.
Yeah, just not normal.
Because he wants to feel better.
Playing on the basic map too, and you're just like,
Oh, man.
just a nice 20 turns here, winding down the evening, just with my computers. But Mario Party is a game that I very near, very very near and dear to my heart.
And not just a Mario Party. It's Mario Party 2, Mario Party 3, Mario Party 4. And honestly, 5 is also good.
Yeah,
Like,
5 is good. but it does. Mario Party doesn't get better than 3. Mario Party is
I think 3 is my
Mario
favorite.
Party
as
3
well.
is because the N64 controller doesn't screw you that much in random mini games. You don't have to use it that much. The music rules. The boards are all fun. They got a couple extra characters.
Something about playing Mario Party in a group with your friends with a 64 controller.
Yeah, it's right.
Something about the 64 controller and the bullshit that's associated with using a 64 controller just feel even.
Just nobody's too comfortable with it.
Yeah, everybody agrees this is garbage, and then we can move on from there. You know, everybody's good in math.
Everyone has 3 hands. That's how they can use the controller. It's everyone has 3 of them. So
quick, without looking at controls, how does this mini game play? Which handle are you holding?
I mean, now I know though. I got all mini games. They're all programmed.
What's the left handle? Does anybody ever grab the left handle?
You might need to use the D-pad for some stuff to like navigate.
In
Pokemon
play a song
Stadium.
in Ocarina of Time, like
or no, that's the C buttons. Yeah.
You can't even really use the D-pad like I thought when I first grabbed it that you could use the D-pad for everything that you could use the analog stick, but they're just like, no, you idiot. Why would you be able to do that?
They're like, no, you need 3 hands for this, sir.
Yeah, again, 3 hands. That's what everyone has. Charlie, my last question here before we wind things down. What are you most excited for the future of video games? Is there a video game trend that's like are you excited by VR? Are you just into the fact that games load really fast and everyone
I'm
can
actually
play?
So happy about that.
Oh my god, I will tell you, another reason why the Xbox rules, quick resume is literally one of the things I didn't think about until I got an Xbox, but it rules. I haven't played Fallout 3 on my Xbox in 2 months. I'm gonna fire that up, and it's gonna be the exact moment I last paused, and it's gonna load like that.
And you'll have no idea where the fuck you are.
I will, because I believe I'm in the Jefferson Memorial fighting some super mutants right now. Dead Rising, bam, I'm right back in there. And these are games that I always just pop into from time to time because they always like satisfy an itch. Yeah. But then it's weird and it doesn't work because then it's like Halo. Every time I open up Halo Infinite, I have to close it and reopen it because the servers don't communication gets all fucked up with it. So I'm just curious, is there something maybe in this gen or coming up that like really excites you about the future of games?
I think honestly I think like this next generation just finding something where you're like, I think we've all had it where it's like it's always like you have something you're like, wow, this was definitely not possible last generation. Like something crazy. So like when I went from like PS2 to PS3, I played Uncharted 2. So like, you know, the train scene or like when the building's tumbling down, like that was like that sort of experience for me. So I'm just kind of like waiting for something like that to hit like PS5. PS4 was kind of immediate because the graphics were just so much better than PS3. Mm-hmm. Like even Killzone Shadowfall was not really a great game at all, but it looked so good that I was like, I'm so happy. This is how games look now. But I definitely want VR to just seem like be more accessible. I think that's certainly like.
I wonder if that's the direction we're going. Because like some of the VR stuff, Trevor has a VR setup, and some of it, I know Paul's shaking his head, but Paul's also the boomer of the group. You have to understand this. That
I think VR is cool, but I just don't want it to be my main thing. I would play VR like I would love to go to Trevor's house and suit up.
I remember when my brother and I were talking about this, that when my brother first got his iPhone, the very, very first iPhone, my brother was talking about like how he's going to pick this thing up, and my dad was like, there's no way that people are ever going to want to give up a physical keyboard. There's just no way. It's not going to happen. And like we were talking about that, and it's like that's the kind of thing that I wonder, and I'm just speculating. I actually have no dog in this fight, but I wonder if that's what we're going to think about stuff with like VR in the future. Yeah. And when I say future, I mean like at this point it could be 5 years, it could be 25 years. I don't know.
Facebook already wants you living in their freaking world, dude.
Yeah, fuck that. That shit is ridiculous.
Oh my god, yeah.
Let's go to work and have everything be work all the time and be surrounded by it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You know it's fun.
Work.
Yeah. I also think like things like the Steam Deck are like super interesting because it's like the Steam Deck is like it's literally a PC like that is nearly a Switch as well. So
I've
I
got my
think, like,
reservation
looking
in.
at,
I'm
like,
very excited for that.
I'm glad that Trevor. I'm really glad that you got one because you would be the person way down the line. Once Steam Decks are more ready available, then I'll get one because it does sound sweet.
yeah, because
So-
I've seen people they're just like playing Dolphin, like putting Dolphin emulator on it. And just
Charlie, could you
playing all
give
sorts of
like
games.
a 15-second rundown of what a Steam Deck is for somebody who doesn't know what it is?
For the uninitiated, a Steam Deck is much like a gaming handheld that you've played before, like a Game Boy or a DS, except you have the extensive library of a PC.
Yeah, your entire Steam library.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
almost every game.
entire.
It's a lot. It's like
It's a lot. Yeah, I just want. I think there is. I
There's
think
certain
there
games
is
you can't play.
a couple exceptions to the rule.
I mean, if you want to play
It's not-
GameCube games on it, it works. Like,
yeah.
I also think they
So
just
it's like
added
GameCube
Game
games?
Pass. Game
Yeah,
Pass
you
can
can
play
say
maybe.
that
Nintendo
people
games
are running
on-
Dolphin.
yeah, you can just run
People are running
emulators on it.
Dolphin on it.
Yeah, like you can just boot up
Yo.
Windows on it.
Wait,
like,
I thought
anything
that
that-
this was like a. Okay, you can
Yeah,
boot
it's
up
literally
Windows
a PC.
Steam
It
just
like,
made a
the
cool
form
looking
Wait,
factor
so
is like a
why?
laptop.
What's
Steam
the
just made a
difference?
gaming laptop look like a Switch, and they just made it with
Basically.
some intuitive controls and stuff. They just said, okay, everyone loves that shit. How do
Okay,
we make
I'm
a
gonna have
little
to look
rectangle that you
Yeah.
can have on the hold with the thing, and how does it work like a PC? Because it's
having
it's
to
and
hold.
it like
Yeah,
And
it has
and
like a
it's got some
proprietary
port
menu, and then
power
you
to
like
it,
get
too,
out
right?
of it, it boots you out to Windows. From what I can tell, you're like, oh, sweet. We just plug in the keyboard and start working. I guess.
we have reached the end of the show, but before we go, I heard that there might be a song for this, but if not, are you ready to play something, Caleb? Can you actually play something?
Oh
for
no
us?
no no no
Okay.
no no no!
It's
no.
Caleb's recommendation. Caleb's recommendation. At the end of the show, Caleb recommends one thing for you all, whether it be a show or a topic or something. He just recommends something, and that's what we do here.
Don't
The floor is
say it
open.
like I was the one who was like, okay, Paul, I want you to introduce. You just started doing this shit.
Yeah, I know.
You
I
started
don't know what. I don't know
Caleb.
what is this beef? Where are you coming from? I'm just
Caleb, you're
simply
so
telling
angry.
people that you don't
I'm
always just
angry
recommend
all the time, Trevor.
you don't
about
recommend just the
everything.
product or something. Sometimes you recommend, like you've recommended like health habits, you've recommended like other
You know what?
things.
You know, I'm
Sometimes
gonna
you just recommend some you just recommend something. That's all I was saying.
I know, but you, Paul, you had said something, some kind of inflection. You were like, Caleb recommends
No, you
something.
just always think I'm talking shit about you, which is
I'm very
usually true, but it's like an 80-20 split.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Actually, 80% of the time you're talking shit. You know what, Paul? I'm going to recommend daily yoga today because I got on the train when I was living with you in Seattle. I was doing yoga, I mean, pretty much every day. You watched me do it.
Yeah, Caleb
like
had to
mornings and
parade into the family room, made sure everyone knew it's time
See,
to
this
yoga.
is why I'm
Just
sensitive
unrolled his
about it.
hands like, oh,
Downward
gotta get the
dog.
stretching in. Here I go.
Well, because and every time I would never. It's not like I was like, everybody clear the room. I'm doing yoga. Like I would just come in and I'd drop my pad and I'd start stretching, and Will would be like, "Oh, you think you're better than us?" You know? And I was like, "No, I'm just trying to. It's not big enough in my room. We lived in Seattle. There's no fucking room. I've got a full bed and a desk in my goddamn room. I'm not doing yoga in there." And then all of a, anyway. I got off the train for a really long time, and I just yesterday got back on the train, and the last 2 days I've done yoga, and I feel awesome. I don't have as much lower back pain. I feel ever so slightly less angry, but I'm usually still pretty fucking angry, mostly at Paul. So yeah, that's why I think we should all do regular yoga. It'll make. Do you want to be like me? Angry all the
Slightly
time.
less angry.
Yeah, do you want to be slightly less angry like I am? Do daily yoga.
I do need to do some more yoga. I need to take
So,
care of my
Paul,
back.
you-
But
you wanted
before
to
we
know if I
finish
had-
up and whatever
No.
Caleb is gonna say, Trevor's got a tip for us. We also like to wind down
Trevor's
the show.
tips.
Trevor's got a tip. for us. And Trevor, what's your closing thought for people? It's Trevor closes down the show with his closing thoughts.
Yeah, I think my closing thoughts for this episode is that it was great having Charlie on, and I'm excited to see what his remaining top 100 list looks like. So maybe I'll throw it over to him if he has anything he'd like to share during this
It wasn't
segment.
a tip.
My tip is to go check out Savidge Gaming and check out his top 100
That's a great
list.
tip. That's
There
a
we go.
fantastic. Yeah.
Is that better,
you
Caleb?
covered basically. Yeah.
Charlie, the
Well-
floor is yours. I want you to tell the people where they can find you, tell the people where they can support you, tell the people where you're doing all the cool stuff that you do.
Alrighty, yeah. So you can find me over on youtube.com/Savidge Gaming. It's spelled SAVIDGE. That's how my last name is. And then it's the same over on twitch.tv. It's on TikTok. It's on Instagram. I have a Facebook. I don't use that, but I made sure I had the name. Actually, another guy has the name.
Oh.
We're going to fight him.
But I just have Savidge Gaming over there. But
We'll DDoS him.
No, we're not going to do that. Actually, we won't do that. But
No, we will.
going
We
to
will.
wrap up the show
do
here.
you know how bad I'd feel for doing that to a Facebook streamer? Do you know how many people stream on Facebook? Nobody. Let him have this.
He's like the 18th person who's ever streamed on Facebook.
Listen, I just need the search engine optimization. That's all I need. If I
Yep.
come up first on Google, that's a win.
It's a win. It's a win for us as well. Savidge Gaming, top 100 going down, and a lot more as well. But you can find us at twitch.tv/chat_pack, where we stream Mario Baseball. A big shout out to everyone in the Mario Superstar Baseball community that came out for a hell of a nearly 9-hour stream I did on Monday of a 6+ hour bracket. 1 day only, $25 of my own money. We had a whole blast, and so shout outs to everyone there. You can also find us on YouTube, Chat Pack there as well. Caleb has surpassed 100,000 views on his Elden Ring tutorial. He is
The
still
frame parrying one.
basically
For some
carrying
reason,
our
it's
YouTube
huge.
success over there single-handedly. Really, that's really the only reason our numbers.
Well,
are
all of our other
improving as well.
videos just have like 300, 200 here.
Yeah,
Like I've got one other Elden Ring video that's for some reason has 2,200, and then there's just this one 105,000 now.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
which is nuts. So shout out.
I
to
put a
everybody.
graph in there. People
Yeah.
like graphs. That's if you're making YouTube videos,
Hard
people
data.
like graphs.
God, I need
Put
to
a
change the
graph.
whole list now.
Yeah, change
Yeah.
the whole list. Just put all the graphs in there. But
Here's an
Savidge
NPD
Gaming,
chart. This is how much
a
this
top
sold.
100 streaming on YouTube and TikTok. But that's gonna do it for us here on the Chatback Podcast. Follow us, Chatback Live on Twitter. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Hi, Chris Toasty. We saw you in the chat as well, so shout outs to Chris Toasty, Stars on Legend there in Mario Superstar Baseball. But folks, for Trevor, for Caleb, for Charlie, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Chatback Podcast, and we will catch you. The Flippity Flip.
Oh, man.